Well, on that note, we're taking a break.
Good. I'm going to
This
go
is
smudge now or something.
right. Get something sweet. This is the top of the hour break. This is going to be a news break thanks to NPR. And you know what? Maybe there's a little good news out there. Don't y'all think we could use some? We'll be back in 5, and thank you so much for being here. Catch you on the flip side.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Old Edwards Inn and Spa in downtown Highlands, North Carolina, the go-to getaway for couples. The Winter Slip Away and Save package gives you 2 blissful nights with spa treatments and dinner. More information at oldedwardsinn.com.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Janine Herbst. A top White House official says an estimated 800,000 federal employees who've gone without pay for 2 paychecks now could get reimbursed by week's end. But as Shannon Van Zant reports, other impacts of the shutdown could last many more months.
Most federal employees will be back at their desk on Monday, but some projects will be delayed a lot longer, including those backed by funding from the USDA's Rural Development Program. In Florida, the Gulf Coast Children's Advocacy Center was granted $343,000 for a new facility. Lori Allen is the center's director.
We're really not sure what direction we need to go, and unfortunately, federal workers have been out of work for, over a month. And we're hoping that we can kind of revisit and see what our options are.
Allen says the center will help child victims of rape and domestic abuse. Shannon Van Zant, NPR News, Washington.
The death toll from Friday's dam collapse in Brazil has risen to at least 58, and the search for hundreds who are still missing has resumed. As Catherine Osborne reports, it had been suspended earlier today over concerns that a nearby dam at the same iron ore mine might give way.
After water was drained from behind one of the remaining dams at the Brumadinho mine, government authorities and mining company Vale say the risk of it bursting decreased. Families who evacuated their homes Sunday morning were eventually allowed to return. The evacuation halted the search for survivors for several hours. Now they're resuming. Authorities say many of the missing are likely buried deep in mud. Firefighters from other Brazilian states and a team of more than 100 Israeli disaster relief specialists are aiding recovery efforts. Officials are investigating how another Vale dam failed after the company pledged better safety following a similar disaster in 2015. For NPR News, I'm Catherine Osborne in Brumadinho.
California Senator Kamala Harris formally launched her 2020 presidential campaign today. With a rally in Oakland, California, her hometown, and where the first-time senator served as a prosecutor before becoming the state attorney general. At the rally today, she focused on the need for unity.
We believe that a harm against any one of us is a harm against all of us. That is why when a case is filed, it doesn't read the name of the victim, it reads the people.
She also took a swipe at the president's border wall proposal, calling it his medieval vanity project, and said it won't stop transnational gangs. Harris grew up in nearby Berkeley, the daughter of Indian and Jamaican immigrants. Rising crude oil prices have pushed the cost of a gallon of gas up slightly. The Lundberg survey says gas prices rose 2 cents over the past 2 weeks to $2.33 a gallon for regular on average. You're listening to NPR News. Tens of thousands of people ignored the cold and the rain in downtown Brussels to march for climate protection. Terry Schultz reports from Brussels that pro-environment protests are picking up steam in Belgium.
Demanding their government do more against climate change, some 70,000 Belgians tied up traffic in the capital to draw attention to their cause. Trains bringing in protesters from across the country were so overcrowded that many people didn't even make it to the starting point on time. This demonstration follows one last month that also drew an estimated 70,000 demonstrators. Belgian students are taking the lead in trying to get authorities' attention. For the last 3 Thursdays in a row, tens of thousands of middle and high school students have skipped classes to march through the streets. They say they'll continue, even though many schools are threatening expulsion for participating. For NPR News, I'm Terry Schultz in Brussels.
At the weekend box office, M. Night Shyamalan's sequel, Glass, kept the top spot for the second week in a row, bringing in an estimated $19 million in ticket sales. The sequel to Unbreakable and Split made $162 million globally. In second place, The Upside with $12 million in its third weekend in U.S. theaters. In third place, Aquaman with $7 million. And then in fourth place, the weekend's biggest budget new entry, The Kid Who Would Be King, opened poorly with $7 million. That against a $59 million budget. Asia markets are trading higher at this hour. The Asia Dow up nearly 0.2%. I'm Janine Herbst, NPR News in Washington.
Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 5 minutes after the hour. And you are listening to Fate Mag Radio here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. And I'm so glad you are. Because, you know, how great of a night is this? I get to represent Fate Magazine. I get to interview somebody that I enjoy so much. And it's just a great day, right? So I have Dr. Rita Louise joining me, and she is something else. Her website is www.soulhealer.com. And I've enjoyed that website. I don't know if y'all have taken the opportunity during the show to hit it, but I have learned so much. There's videos, there's articles, you can get links to her books and her films, and you can just learn all the things. And then she also has another site, AppliedEnergeticsInstitute.com. Just as good. I'm telling you, if you are in the mood to learn something new, that's where you need to go.
Okay. So I don't want to totally correct you. So the Applied Energetics Institute website is for people that are interested in learning how to do psychic readings or energy healing or become a medical intuitive. So there's not a whole lot of reading. It's just more information about the training. However, I do have yet another site.
Oh, give it to me.
Which is medical-intuitives with an S, so plural, .com, medical-intuitives.com, and that is more specifically designed to just talk about health and healing, subtle energy. If you're interested in the chakras or getting chakra meditations, learning about like what you can do if you have tinnitus or heartburn, you know, that kind of thing. And one of the things on that site, so actually those two alternative sites. So on the medical intuitive sites, there is an ebook that is of herbs and supplements. It's like 120 herbs and 50 supplements, you know, little guide to working with them, and that's free. And then if you are interested in doing the intuitive development, there's a 50-page introductory guide that people can go and download for free.
I got that.
Love free.
I love free. It's my favorite price range. But I did get that, and I have been perusing it. I'm very excited about that, actually.
Cool.
And I love that you just bring people along. You know, it's one thing. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that it's one thing to be wanting to, you know, do these things and discuss, lecture, write books so people can, you know, understand and learn from you. It's another to want to educate them so that they can develop their skill sets to do this. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of my favorite things about you, that you just take people with you.
Well, and I think knowledge is power. You know, and so, you know, so this was my experience, you know, and kind of has really, I guess, impacted me on a very deep level as far as doing my work. So I had wanted to be psychic my whole life. I mean, or at least since I was like 12 or 13, you know, that was like, I wanted to have ESP. I wanted to be like the amazing Kreskin. I wanted to see ghosts floating across the room, which I totally changed my mind around, even though I do that and I do ghost hunting, but it was kind of like, maybe not the ghost part. But It could be a ghost party in somebody else's house, just not my house. That's
Exactly.
my philosophy. Anyway, and I wanted it so bad, and so I started, reading spiritual books and books about ESP and psychic stuff, and I knew I had some little something going on, and that went on for years, and didn't think really there was all that much going on. I mean, I knew there was a little something, but not anything really. And then I found the Berkeley Psychic Institute and started studying with them and discovered that the little weird things that I would write off as like, wow, that was a weird coincidence. Those were very profound psychic things going on. And I didn't know it. Nobody told me. Nobody explained it in a way that I could wrap my mind around and understand it. Like when we talk about the chakras, they'll sit there and go, well, the third chakra is about power. Well, what the heck does that mean?
I do know.
Well, what does it mean? Well, I mean, I know now, but even in a lot of what you read, it doesn't take it down to a body level so that
it's like it assumes you already know.
Yeah, you need to understand it on an intellectual level. It's like, no, especially if you're talking about psychic things or, energy vampires. It's like you need to know it on a body level. You need to know what the experience is so that you can take this piece of information and go, that happened to me last week. I'm going to tell a quick story. So I was part of National Speakers Association. They had a speaker academy because I was pretty new and you could go to the speaker academy. It was cheap. And so one of the things that you had to do as part of the course was to do a 15-minute presentation on any topic. And they had the professional speakers would critique it that were part of the course. And then they would have a guest speaker who would come in and do a guest lecture and then also be part of this critiquing team. And so what did I do my presentation on? I did it on psychic abilities. So when I went up there, the first thing I said was, so are you all ready to become psychic now? And this giant wall went bam. And so now I'm talking to this wall, which was almost impossible to give the presentation. Thank God it was a presentation that I had given over and over and over again. I just condensed it down to 15 minutes. And, so one of the things that I was talking about was fifth chakra, our ability to communicate and communicate telepathically. And was talking about, you might be thinking of Mary, and then Mary calls, or you see Mary at the supermarket the next week or whatever. So that was the presentation. I thought I bombed because it was harder than hell to do the presentation. And the critique I got back from the main lady, who was the guest speaker, was, I didn't get it. Okay, so instead of critiquing my presentation, so she got up in front of the room and she's supposed to critique my presentation, and she said 3 things and then talked about the guy who was before me. And then on my paper, she wrote, I didn't get it. It's like, well, that's because you put the wall up. But that was beside the point. So 3 weeks later, I'm at this event that they were hosting, and she comes up to me and she goes, I have to tell you this story. And I go, what? She goes, well, I was thinking about my girlfriend that I hadn't seen in a really long time. And I went to the supermarket and I go around the corner and there's my girlfriend. Whoa. And I just looked at her and I said, well, then I guess you got it. And I turned around and walked away.
My
and
goodness.
so, but I try to make it so that they get it.
Yes.
And because I never got it and I wanted to get it so bad.
Yeah.
And so that's really with my writing and stuff. It's like I want people to get it.
Well, I've read your
writing. I think
writing.
I do pretty good.
I think there's a good opportunity that they do.
No, I think they do.
I do.
Even in some pretty complicated stuff, I think they do. They might not agree with me, but I think they do.
Well, you know what? They don't have to agree.
Mm-hmm.
Because what is. And what you're presenting is